the BRS titanium stove. So this is a follow-up review of this stove. I've had it for 2.5 years now, and if you don't know, BRS stove is a very small titanium Chinese made stove for gas cylinders. Now usually when you start the sentence Chinese made and cheap, it usually means piece of crap. But I've got to say, I mean, this little stove, I bought this 2.5 years ago because I was looking for the smallest, lightest stove I could find to go on long distance type hiking trips, and something I could just pack and forget in my pack, because I don't use gas that often, but when I do, you know, it's I would prefer to have something like this as opposed to the much larger ones that I used to carry around, and they were always so expensive. This only weighs 26 grams, and 2.5 years ago it cost me £11. I remember thinking about 3 months after I purchased this, I realised it was actually quite a good stove. It hadn't fallen apart and it worked just as well as any of my other stoves, which were way more expensive. And I thought, you know what, they're selling these for £11 just now because it's a bit of a gimmick. It was the world's lightest stove. I think it still is the world's lightest stove, but £11, that's not going to be a sustainable business model. What they're going to do is they're going to ramp the price of this thing up to like 50-60 quid or something once hikers and your ultralight type people who snap toothbrushes in half and things start to learn about this. The price will skyrocket. I checked Amazon before I made this video, and they're still between £10 and £14, so they haven't really changed in price at all. Now, in 2.5 years, I've used this stove, I don't know how many times now. I've taken it on long distance multi-day hikes that have lasted 1 and 2 weeks at a time, and I've used it 3-4 times over the pace in that every single day, 3 or 4 times every single day over the course of sort of 10-11 day hikes for boiling water and heating up food. Mostly for boiling water. Boiling water is pretty much how I do all cooking. Or heating food in boiling water, and you know, I just can't fault this little stove. It's just an excellent little stove. I don't throw my gear around. I try and look after my kit as much as possible, but it hasn't had any particular special attention. I haven't stowed this in any different kind of container other than the little bag that it originally came in. When I do some long distance hikes, I would on a kit, because weight's an issue when you're hiking. I'll have a titanium cup, and I put my gas stove inside the titanium cup, and like the bottle that is, and this I would just sit on top of it, and then I'd put the lid on top of that, so it's protected inside a titanium mug. But I don't hike very often. I'm not really a hiker. What I do, like most people, is just take an ordinary sort of military type bag and go out and either build a fire or use a firebox. But I always take this with me. I've always got this little thing just in its little pouch and thrown in the top pocket of my rucksack or backpack. So it's not getting manhandled, but it's not getting treated with any special care. I'm dropping that bag down. It's getting, moved around all of the time. It's been, it's fell out of the bag and landed on the floor. I take it out probably at least once on most trips when I'm out, because it's a really fast way of boiling water. You don't want to always have to build a fire just to get a cup of tea, so I would always, use a gas stove for that. And all the time that I've had it, it performs pretty much identically to the way it did when I first purchased it. The only thing that I've noticed, I mean, the valve is still perfectly fine, still functions exactly as it always did. The gas flow is still exactly the same. The only thing that I have noticed, and it's not even really much of a fault, is the little lifting legs have like a small nipple on them, so when you push it down, it sort of clips into place and holds it into place. and over time, you know, they're a little bit, they don't quite hold as well as they did when I first purchased it, but you know, if that's the only thing that's went wrong with it, then I'm pretty happy with that. You don't have your stove upside down very often. I've always said I was going to buy a couple more of these because it's so small and light. I've always assumed I was going to either break it or lose it, and I never have. So I would say, I mean, it's so small, it's actually incredibly well made from what I can see. I've never had a problem with it. It's never gave me any cause for concern, and they're so cheap. I highly recommend buying one or two of these and making this part of your kit. That you pretty much just, one of those things that you just always have. Nobody's ever sent me one of these, by the way. It's, you know, I bought this with my own money. No, they're not, the company's not asking me to do this. They're not going to send me a free one. I think I probably will buy another one of these at some point, just because I'm so impressed by them. So yeah, really good purchase. It's a great piece of kit. I would say it's fires up pretty well. There is a little bit of orange flame, which I think when it comes to gas burners, you don't really want to see orange flame, you want to see all blue flame. But if you're using it like what I do, to boil water, I would say still a fantastic purchase.